I just picked up a major Grail, one that I've been trying to trade for the last couple of years. Well, I finally pulled the trigger on it, and now it's in my PC. So stay tuned and find out what I picked up next. Welcome back, comic book fans. It's Rusty again from Collector Auctions, and I have got a comic book haul for you today. I just won 3 really good books, all first appearance books, and one is a major Grail. In fact, it is my #1 Grail that I have been trying to get on my PC for the last couple of years. I've been trying to trade for it, and if you guys follow the channel, you know which book I'm talking about exactly. But I'll show you what came in this box right here. Look how big this is for only 3 books, and there was a reason for that, and it's because it is a massive Grail. It was super expensive, but I finally pulled the trigger on that book. But I also picked up a couple other books as well that are wonderful first appearances. Now, all of these books came from a auction from hipcomic.com, one of the Infinity Comics auctions. And you guys know I have been a big proponent of Infinity Comics auctions over the last 2 years. I have picked up so many great books, absolutely fantastic books. I have had such good luck picking out good books on there, gotten very lucky on a lot of those, because one of the things I've said is that the photos have not always been the best quality photo. You cannot zoom in quite as much as you would like, but you can generally get a pretty good idea if the book has any spine ticks or not. It's a little tougher for some of those, say a cover indent that you can't really see, but for spine ticks that can kind of show color breaking spine ticks, I should say, normally you can do pretty good with it and have a pretty good idea. And I've had so much success over the last couple of years with that. But in the recent past, they have gotten away from, and I've talked about this too, how they had gotten away from not showing both photos in the Infinity Comics auctions. They're showing only the front photo, the front cover, not the back cover. And man, I don't want to do that. I want to see both of them. It makes perfect sense. You can buy, there's so many books I've bought over the years where the front cover is completely good, but the back cover has got these awful spine ticks because it's got a very dark cover and they pop out like crazy, and you spent all this money and you should have checked the back. Well, that's the same thing with these auctions. I'm not going to get into many auctions unless I feel it's a really good price and take a chance on it. I'm not going to get into these auctions. And somewhere along the way in the last few months, they've made that kind of change, and I'm not a big fan of it. But you can still find auctions where they do have both photos on there. And the other thing to add on to that, when they have both photos, they also had a description of the book. They would assign a grade to it, VG, VF, near mint minus. They basically their assessment of the book, and generally speaking, they would generally undergrade in most cases. It's funny, in some of them that was highly overgraded, but there were some that it was just they're definitely undergraded, and I think they're being very conservative on some of the conditions, and that's one of these in particular that I got today definitely bears fruit with that, I think, because it definitely looks better than the Fine, I think it was Fine Plus that they did. I think it's better than a Fine Plus, but I will show you the books once we get into it. Now, just full disclosure right here, I've got the box right here and it looks nice and closed, but I've already filmed this show once and we had a sound problem, and I decided, well, instead of trying to just live with that awful sound that I had, let's go back and redo the show. So we're not going to get the reveal that I did originally when I did this, because I hadn't seen the books yet. It was a reveal for me as I opened this up, and I got to see the books for the very first time. So I've got the books already sitting here, but I will tell you this box right here, it's huge. Inside it was a smaller box, and inside that was a lot of bubble wrap. And they took a lot of care on these books, mostly because of the one Super Grail that I picked up. And we'll get into that. I'll show you that book off, and I'm going to show off the other 2 books as well. All 3 of these are great first appearances and super valuable if you can get that top grade. Really super valuable if you get that top grade. But I'll tell you, the major Grail here will not hit that top grade, but I think it's still going to grade out pretty good. But before I get into that, guys, definitely hit that like, slap the subscribe, and click on that notification bell so you don't miss out on any of the episodes that I put out each and every week Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays at 3 p.m. All right, let's get right into it. We don't have to sit through me opening up that box. I've got the books right here, and we're going to save the major Super Grail for the end, but we're going to do some other really good books here. Let's start off with this right here. It is the first appearance of Deathstroke, the Terminator, in New Teen Titans #2. George Perez, Marv Wolfman goodness here from 1980, December of 1980. And this was listed as a VF Plus book. And when I looked at the photos, they looked really good. But when I took this out originally and I'm looking down this, there is a nice little spine tick, color breaking spine tick right there. This will definitely not be a 9.8. Although I think once a little bit of press, that will minimize that defect right there. I would hope to get a 9.6 on that. And that's still not super valuable, but it's still a pretty good return on investment because of what I spent on these. And we're not going to get into prices. Trust me. I don't need my wife watching this episode in particular and see how much I paid for all three of these books. But I think we'll still do okay on that with the 9.6. If it drops down below that, then we're going to be talking break-even territory. But this looked like a really good book right here, and I took a chance on that. And in most cases, I do really well on Infinity Comics auctions on hipcomic.com. And the photos they have, they're not the best. I really wish they had better photos, but at least in this particular auction, a lot of their listings, all three of these, in fact, had photos of the front and back. So I had a pretty good chance to see if I could find anything. I just overlooked this. I'd have to go back and look at the photo, but it's very hard to tell unless you start turning the angle a little bit, but it is definitely there. All right, second book up here. It is a great book. It is a book that I've picked up from a previous auction on Infinity Comics, and I ended up managing a 9.6 on that, where I thought, man, I thought this thing was going to get maybe a 9.0, 9.2 at the best, which would have been a major improvement over the 8.5 copy that I have in my PC. But this book right here is a book I grew up with. In fact, I grew up with this book too, but this is a book that I had. And we'll talk about more about books from 1974. That was a big year for me as a kid. But I've got the first appearance of Danny Rand as Iron Fist here in Marvel Premiere number 15. This is from 1974. I want to say May. Is that about right? Yeah, they have it listed as May of 74. So honestly, does it come out a few months before that? I don't know. I don't really care. But this book right here is it's just a great first appearance. I've got, as I said, I had picked up a copy last year, got it into my shop. It was a great buy. I mean, it wasn't cheap, not super expensive, but not cheap. And I ended up pulling that 9.6 on there. And that book right there is worth a lot more than what I paid for it. That's it. That is for sure. But this one right here was listed as a fine plus. And when I looked at it, I'm trying to find... I mean, I can see a little bit of a spot right up here that's going to need a little bit of work. But we've got another one of these books where the white cover comes around the back just a little bit. And you see the white going up and down the spine right there. So you don't have color on the spine, which I love in these cases. You can work on that spine and not too much worry about a color-breaking spine tick. Now, if it breaks the paper, that's a different story. But if it's a crease that you can get out, you're not going to have to worry about that color breaking in that case. And this looks, I think, a lot better than a fine plus. We will see what happens when I get it into the shop. All right, guys, it comes down to this right here. We are down to the massive Grail that I've been searching for the last couple years. I have been trying to trade for this at the different cons that I go to. 2 years ago at Heroes Con, I came this close. And one of those books that I wanted to trade, I've got a 9.8 X-Men 95 Death of Thunderbird. It's not the biggest X-Men book, but it's right there. It's like, what is that? Like the fourth full appearance of Wolverine, or third full appearance, and the third appearance of Colossus and Storm and all these guys, and death of a pretty major character there at the very beginning of the X-Men. And I cannot get any dealers to take it because they don't have the buyer for that book. And trying to find the right buyer for that book at a 9.8 has become very difficult. And honestly, in all of my trade deals, that is one of the linchpins in my trade offer is that book. It can go anywhere from $2,000 now to what it was when I started 2 years ago with this. It was a $3,200 book, and it's dropped in value. It's down to around that 2,000 mark. And even that, they're afraid to take it because they don't think they're going to have the buyer. And I'm trying to work that deal, trying to get a really good, nice, graded copy of Hook 181. And I literally just gave it away, guys. Forget it. I'm going to show it to you. That's what I did. That's what I got. I got Hook 181. I ended up winning this at auction, and I literally blew the surprise right there. But that's the deal. I was trying to trade for this, trade for a graded copy. Depending on how much I had, I would have taken anything from a 6.0 all the way up to an 8.5. It's kind of somewhere in that range, as long as it presented really well, and never happened. 2 years ago, I was this close. Last year at the cons that I went to, it just wasn't even close to coming to that. Now this year I've come close a couple times. I've actually got some better books that I'm willing to trade, but still haven't made the deal. But then this popped up on Infinity Comics. I get all of their email notifications for the auctions coming up, and I saw this on there, and I'm going, well, this looks like a really nice raw copy. Very nice. Not 8.5 nice. I think this is going to, if my initial gut was this could be a 7.75, and it looks really good. There's a little bit of a dog ear down here. This corner's a little iffy. Sharp corner. We got another copy of those like we were just talking about with this one. You got the white coming around on the front, so you don't have color on the spine, so you don't have color breaking spine ticks over here. It looks really nice. And I did open this book up during the previous video. You would have seen it, except the sound quality was awful. It does have the Marvel value stamp. In fact, this one does too. That one has the Marvel value stamp. But this one, the She-Devil value stamp is in there. I took a look. The spine, the centerfold is intact. Everything looks really good. And the only thing I could really see was on the back, it definitely needs a little bit of a dry cleaning. There's some smudge back there that I think can be cleaned up. I think this will come out very nice. I could be surprised when I get it into grading. We will see. I'm not going to be able to sneak this into a... it's definitely going... this would have been a vintage order, but now it's going to be a high value order when I send this in. I can't get away with that this time. And I can't wait to get this into the shop. I'm going to have to be super careful and do my best job, because I cannot believe I finally have this in my PC. I've been striving for this for years at this point. And maybe other people out there have an easier time finding these than I do. I tell you, the truth of the matter is I ended up selling some original artwork through Comic Link that has helped me fund this right here. So I would have preferred to have traded some of the books that I had. But here's the thing. I still have those books. I can still trade or sell those books as well to help compensate for some of this as well. But as I said, I ended up selling some of my original artwork to help fund this at this point. And honestly, maybe that was a good choice, maybe it was a bad choice, but I've been wanting this as bad as anything for the last couple of years. I've just been looking for the right copy. Right now, this is a really nice copy. I hope it grades out better than I initially think, but I'll be satisfied with it. I say that, but I think what I said during the original filming is we'll see what the grade is, and we'll see if I'm satisfied with that. But nonetheless, whatever grade this is, this will definitely have a higher value. I hope. It will have a significant value. I'll just leave it with that I can use as trade as well as books at whatever grade is a very popular book. So I won't have trouble selling this book if that's what I want to do down the road to maybe eventually upgrade to a higher grade. I would honestly like to have an 8.5. I think that would be a very safe, very presentable grade for me. I've been very happy with 8.5s on a lot of different things in the past, and that would be a very good grade, I think. But we're getting ahead of ourselves. We're going to have to get this book in there first and see what we do. But guys, that is it for today. Quick video now. I actually went on a lot longer when I opened the box up and I showed all the books the first time. But quicker video now that I already did the reveal and I already opened it up. I already saw the books and everything. But these are great books. All of them are great first appearances. We'll see what they get when I get them into the shop and then into CGC. You know we'll do videos on that. But guys, definitely leave me a comment in the comment section below. Let me know what you think of the books, and do you have a Hulk 181 in your collection? Because I finally do. I finally have one in my PC. I can't believe it. This has been really a good year so far, 2025. I've picked up some really nice, I think, pretty much significant books in my PC, and this is probably the highest. This is the biggest book I've gotten, and it may be the biggest book I've gotten for a while as well, because honestly, I pretty much blew the budget on this one right here. And just so you guys know, my big goal was, over the last couple of years, was to get the big three from the 70s. And there's other ones too, but the big three for me was always this one, Giant Size X-Men #1, and of course Spider-Man 129, the first appearance of the Punisher. Well, last year I picked up the Punisher. It's a 5.5. At the time, I thought it was a really good price, but that price has really dropped down at this point. I could have spent the same money right now and picked up 2.5 grades, or at least 2 more grades higher than that 5.5. So that's a book that I may end up cracking out, actually, and taking down to Heroes Con this year to get signed by Jerry Conway. We'll see about that. But at least I have that one already in the PC. I've got this one now. And now we're on to the the Giant Size X-Men #1. I do have my copy, my original copy. It's coverless at this point because I read the covers off of that book. I love that Giant Size X-Men so much. But I need to have that copy to complete my 70s. Then we'll work on the next tier of 70s Grails, books like Tomb of Dracula, number 9? Is that right? God, I can't. I'm so tired right now. I literally just got back from West Virginia, guys, after a long trip. I knew these books were waiting on me here. Normally, I would wait till the next day when I'm a little bit fresher to open this up, but I couldn't wait. I knew this book was waiting on me. I couldn't wait to see it. But there's other great books from the 70s, the Ghost Riders, first appearance. We got Luke Cage. We've got a lot of other great books here, but this right here was the top tier, and this is the #1 book right here for me right now, and I cannot believe I finally have it in my PC. But guys, that is it. I'm going to sit here and stare at this book for a little bit longer, and I'm going to hit the bed after that. So guys, I will see you for the next show. Until then, just remember, every comic has a story.